My week at camp or at Camp MDS usually starts on about a Thursday. I sit down and I start making my menu. I've already asked the project director, do we have any special dietary needs? Because then I need to start planning what I need to buy and make for those particular dietary needs.
So as the office manager, Thursday I start getting ready for the next week, look at the list of people that are coming, how many people are coming.
I have the rooms ready to go. I have everyone assigned to which room they're going to go.
24 and 12 is 36. 36 altogether.
I make sure I have enough registration sheets, devotion and sign-up sheet for dishes and song.
After I've figured out my menu, I have to then figure out my grocery list. And that is traveling around in the kitchen, looking in refrigerators, in the pantry. Well, how much do I have of this? How much do I have of that? I use the MDS cookbook. Then there are 2 or 3 cookbooks at home. So I took my favorite recipes out of all of them and made my own book.
Typically volunteers show up on Sunday in the afternoon or early evening. We have orientations that start at 7 o'clock on Sunday evening. First of all, to everyone, welcome to Fayette County, Texas. We talk about the history of why MDS is working wherever we happen to be. Talk about what happened, who invited us here, the kind of work we're going to be doing.
The weekly schedule of do's and don'ts of MDS camp life.
Then we go around the room and everybody gets a chance to introduce themselves.
Volunteer for morning devotions and a song. And they volunteer to wash dishes after supper.
The office manager will just say their little pieces about merchandise sales. After everyone is registered and we've got that all set up, the crew leaders along with the project director look at the list and try to divvy out the people as to which project they're going to go to.
It's pretty amazing actually how that works. Usually the right people are in the right job where we need them and the work gets done.
What a day would look like, and the way I organize my menu is I have 3 days with egg meals and 2 days with non-egg meals. You get your pancakes and you get your French toast or your biscuits and gravy in between, but most of the time it's eggs and some sort of meat and oatmeal. I like to put in yogurt, cottage cheese, because some people want something lighter, and there's always a fruit salad.
So I get up, go over to the dining room and greet the people and see how our cooks are doing, making sure everything in the kitchen is going well. And then we get ready to have our breakfast and start our day with some fellowship around the tables. So it's really a nice time for everybody to focus on why we're here and start the day off well. After that, we go through questions. If anybody has any questions about the plans for the day, go over with their crew leaders, where the crew is going to meet, what's going to happen.
Some jobs you have to start the morning by loading the trucks with the tools you're going to need for the day. That's part of the crew leader's job, to realize what's got to be done and what tools come out of the trailer and go in the truck, and then
Everybody goes out and gets on their way. So after that, I start on my particular tasks, depending on what is going on at the different jobs. Sometimes crews need some instruction or troubleshooting or whatever that might be on a project, whether it's electrical or framing or just questions, so that everybody hopefully has clear information about what's going on.
What I like to do is I like to have breakfast done, we clear it off, because we do all the dishes for breakfast. And then we clean up, sweep the floor. If it's needed, we mop it. Once the dishes and everything are out of the way, we sit down for a little coffee break and we say, okay, who's making salad, who's doing this, who's doing that, who's making desserts? Then we work very, very hard until noon.
my job as a crew leader would be to direct those people to what needs to be done when it needs to be done so that the job continues to flow. get the right people in the right position. And you learn pretty quickly. You pick up on what people can do and what they can't do. It's always good to put people in positions that they excel at, that they're good at. I think that's what most of the directors try to do, so that the job moves along well and everybody enjoys what they're doing.
We try to have most of our materials for the new houses at least delivered. We have to go and pick up things that are missing, or things that maybe get broken, have to get replaced. Knowing who the vendors are at the different stores, the representatives who are used to working with MDS.
Well, as an office manager, when you're doing the client ledger and the receipts that come in, it's very important that the receipt is marked correctly to a client and that money is spent towards that client. So when you're entering that information, it all goes to that particular client. And you want to keep your record straight in the general ledger.
Get a break in the morning, lunch break. Sometimes we take an afternoon break. A lot of times they say, no, we don't want a break, we want to work. I always like to take a break.
Some of us sleep, some of us read a book, some of us nap. We need to have a rest, and then we can finish the other 4 to 6 that we have to do after we're done.
So I kind of feel that one of the main things of a project director, besides welcoming the crews, the volunteers as they come and help them find where everything is, it's basically to get work in front of them and then get out of the way and be a resource as opposed to a boss. I don't consider myself a boss of anybody here. It's a matter of try to enable them to do what they've already come here motivated to do.
At the end of the day, when the crew leaders come back,
At about 5 o'clock,
I like to be in the office for that time. They can give me information about their day. They give me their receipts, mark down the hours that have been spent at a project, so it can be recorded and again put towards the clients how many labor days it has taken to build their home.
The crew leaders, they each have their own crew leader report that they fill out with the hours of the volunteers that have worked and a little bit about what they've done at the job site. And that's what I use at the end of the week to write my weekly story and to fill in the hours on the job card, the volunteers that have worked at that job site for the week. Supper is at 6.
they always have good meals. They have cooks that come out and cook that do a tremendous job. There's always plenty of food.
After supper, we get the crews or crew leaders, whoever wants to share about their experience of the job site that day.
Then we help the people do dishes.
After that, crew leaders get together with the director, decide what they're going to do for the next day. But usually the volunteers have the evening to do whatever they so desire.
We often have time to do some fun things, play games.
If they're younger, they go play basketball or volleyball or something like that. Or if they're old, they sit around and tell stories of when they could play basketball and all that stuff.
Finally, you get a chance to go to sleep and get ready to start a new day. Make the time that the volunteers are here on any MDS project, make it be an enjoyable time. Because really the only thing that Mennonite Disaster Service brings to a project is volunteers. And if volunteers stop coming to MDS projects because they've had a difficult time somewhere, that's one less person that MDS can call on. It's one less resource that MDS has. So it's really important to keep the volunteers, keep them responsible for what they're doing. You want them to do good work, treat each other with respect, and treat the clients with respect, treat the tools with respect, and have a good, meaningful time, enjoyable time while they're here so that they can go home and says, yeah, I really enjoyed that. You need to come with me next time. If you don't have volunteers, there would be no MDS.
The rewards come.
Like the home dedication.
When the client's house is finished, the challenges that they have gone through and for someone who has come in, doesn't know who they are, has no idea, and we come in and we build a house for them.
How happy and thankful they are. And as a volunteer, you're really dedicated for the next one after you see how God uses that in just amazing ways.
Just makes you feel like you want to come back and do it again.
It's very special.